Zainab checked the hidden camera she had secretly placed in the kitchen. What she saw made her hands tremble uncontrollably. Her stepmother, Mama Bisola, was pouring a white powder into her brother Tunde's bowl of amala and uwedu soup. The woman's lips moved as if she was muttering something under her breath, her eyes darting nervously toward the door. But the real shock came when Mama Bisola answered her phone. "Yes, Mother. I'm adding the powder every day, just as you instructed. The boy is getting weaker by the day. Soon the father will follow. Once they're both gone, everything will be mine. The entire inheritance, the house, the business, everything." The traditional courtyard house in Bodija district of Ibadan had once been filled with laughter and warmth. 2 years had passed since the death of their mother, and Baba Femi still struggled to cope with the loss. His daughter Zainab, though only 12 years old, had taken on the responsibility of caring for the family. Every morning, she would wake up before dawn, prepare breakfast of akara and hot ogi for her 8-year-old brother Tunde, help him get ready for school, and then rush to her own classes. The weight of these responsibilities showed in her tired eyes, but Zainab never complained. She had promised her dying mother that she would take care of Tunde and their father. It was a promise she intended to keep, no matter how difficult life became. One Sunday morning, after returning from church service, Baba Femi called his children to the living room. His face carried an unusual expression, somewhere between excitement and nervousness. "My children," he began, clearing his throat repeatedly, "there is someone I want you to meet. Someone very special who will be joining our family." The door opened, and in walked a woman dressed in an elaborate outfit made from expensive Adair fabric. Her head was wrapped in an elegant purple jewel, and gold jewelry adorned her neck and wrists. She moved with practiced grace, her smile wide and seemingly warm. "Good afternoon, children," she said, her voice honey-sweet. "I am Bisola. Your father has told me so much about you both." Zainab instinctively stepped in front of Tunde, a protective gesture that didn't go unnoticed by the woman. "Good afternoon, ma'am," Zainab replied politely, though something in her heart felt uneasy. The wedding happened quickly. Too quickly, some neighbors whispered. Within a month, Mama Bisola had moved into their home and taken over as the new woman of the house. At first, she seemed perfect. She cooked elaborate meals every day: jollof rice with perfectly seasoned chicken, pounded yam with rich egusi soup, and treats like chin-chin and puff-puff for the children. "Your new mother is wonderful," Tunde would say happily, chocolate stains from the treats around his mouth. "She's so nice to us, Zainab." But Zainab noticed things others missed. The way Mama Bisola's smile never quite reached her eyes. How she would count their father's money when she thought no one was watching. The long phone calls she made late at night, speaking in hushed tones. One evening, Zainab overheard part of a conversation. Mama Bisola was in her room, speaking to someone on the phone. "Patience, Mother. Yes, I'm gaining his trust. The children? They're no problem. The girl is suspicious, but she's just a child. What can she do?" 3 months into the marriage, subtle changes began to occur. Tunde started complaining of stomach aches. At first they were mild, just occasional discomfort after meals. Mama Bisola would fuss over him, giving him what she called special vitamins to help with his digestion. "This is imported medicine," she would say, showing a white bottle with no label. Very expensive, but nothing is too good for my stepson. Baba Femi, grateful for his new wife's apparent concern, never questioned it. He was too relieved to have someone helping with the children to notice the gradual changes in his son's health. But Zainab watched everything. She saw how Tunde's energy decreased day by day, how his bright smile appeared less frequently, how he would push away his favorite foods, claiming he wasn't hungry. She also noticed that Mama Bisola always insisted on serving Tunde's food herself, never allowing anyone else to touch his plate. One night, Zainab woke up to get water and found Mama Bisola in the kitchen. The woman was holding a small white bottle, pouring something into a pot of soup that was meant for the next day's dinner. "Mama Bisola?" Zainab called out softly. The woman jumped, nearly dropping the bottle. She quickly composed herself and smiled. "Oh, Zainab, you scared me. What are you doing up so late?" "I was thirsty. What are you adding to the soup?" "Just some seasoning, my dear. A special ingredient to make it extra nutritious for you children. Now go back to bed." As weeks turned into months, Tunde's condition worsened significantly. He had lost considerable weight, his school uniform hanging loosely on his shrinking frame. His teachers began sending notes home, expressing concern about his inability to concentrate in class and his frequent requests to visit the bathroom. "We need to take him to the hospital," Zainab pleaded with her father one evening. "Your mother has already taken him," Baba Femi replied, using the title that made Zainab cringe. She said the doctor gave him vitamins and said it's just a growth phase. But Zainab had followed them that day. They never went to the hospital. Instead, Mama Bisola had taken Tunde to a small pharmacy where she bought more white powder, telling the pharmacist it was for rats in their storeroom. That night, Zainab made a decision. She couldn't let this continue. She needed proof, concrete evidence that couldn't be dismissed as the imagination of a jealous stepdaughter. The next day at school, Zainab approached her friend Funke during lunch break. "I need your help," she whispered urgently. "What's wrong?" "You've been so quiet lately," Funke responded, concern evident in her voice. "I can't explain everything now, but I need to borrow money. I promise I'll pay you back." Funke, seeing the desperation in her friend's eyes, gave her the savings she had been keeping for a new school bag. "Whatever it is, please be careful," she said. With the borrowed money, Zainab went to Computer Village, the technology market in the city. She found a small shop selling surveillance equipment. The elderly shop owner looked at her suspiciously. "Young girl, what do you need a camera for?" he asked. "Please, sir, it's for a school project," Zainab lied. "We're studying home security." After much persuasion and all her money, she left with a tiny wireless camera, no bigger than a button. The shop owner had shown her how to connect it to her phone and how to position it for the best view. That evening, while Mama Bisola was at the market, Zainab carefully placed the camera behind the spice rack in the kitchen, angling it to capture the entire cooking area. Her heart pounded as she worked, knowing that if she was caught, the consequences would be severe. For 3 days, nothing significant happened. Zainab began to doubt herself. Maybe she was wrong. Maybe Mama Bisola really was trying to help. But on the 4th day, everything changed. The video footage was clear and undeniable. Mama Bisola entered the kitchen at 5 a.m., before anyone else was awake. She looked around carefully, checking that she was alone. Then, from a hidden compartment in her wrapper, she pulled out a small bottle of white powder. She measured out a portion and sprinkled it into the pot of stew that would be served for breakfast. Then she moved to the kunu drink, prepared specifically for Tunde, adding another dose. As she stirred the poisoned food, her phone rang. "Mother, good morning. Yes, I'm doing exactly as you instructed. The boy? He's getting weaker every day. The father has started showing symptoms too. I've been adding small amounts to his food as well. No one suspects anything. I play the perfect stepmother. The girl? She's just a child. Even if she suspects, who would believe her over me? I've made sure to gain everyone's trust in the neighborhood. Yes, Mother, once they're gone, everything will be ours. The house, the business, the land in the village. I've already started preparing the documents. Don't worry, I learned from what happened in Lagos. This time we won't make any mistakes." Zainab watched the video with tears streaming down her face. Her worst fears were confirmed. But now she had another problem. Her father was also being poisoned. Zainab knew one video might not be enough. She needed more evidence, and she needed help. She couldn't go to the police yet. Mama Bisola was well connected and respected in the community. Everyone knew her as the generous woman who donated to the church and helped organize community events. Over the next 2 weeks, Zainab carefully collected evidence. She managed to get a sample of the white powder when Mama Bisola was bathing. She took photos of the hidden compartment where the poison was kept. She recorded more videos of Mama Bisola adding the substance to their food. She also started secretly disposing of Tunde's poisoned meals, replacing them with food she bought from school with her lunch money. It meant she went hungry most days, but seeing Tunde slowly regain some strength made it worthwhile. One day, she took the powder sample to her science teacher, Mr. Adeyemi, who had always been kind to her. "Sir, I found this powder in our store. I'm worried it might be dangerous. Can you tell me what it is?" Mr. Adeyemi examined it carefully, then performed a simple test. His face turned grave. "Zainab, this is rat poison, but it's been mixed with something else, something to make it slower acting. Where did you really get this? Please, sir, you have to trust me. My family is in danger, but I can't say more now. I just needed to know what it was." "You need to go to the police immediately," Mr. Adeyemi insisted. "I will, sir, but not yet. I need more evidence. Please, promise me you won't tell anyone yet." Reluctantly, Mr. Adeyemi agreed, but he gave Zainab his personal phone number. "Call me if you need help. Any time, day or night." As days passed, Baba Femi's health deteriorated rapidly. He started experiencing severe headaches, dizziness, and vomiting. Mama Bisola played the concerned wife perfectly, rushing around, pretending to care for him. "Oh, my poor husband," she would wail dramatically when neighbors visited. "I don't know what's wrong. I'm giving him all the best medicine, but nothing seems to help." One evening, Baba Femi collapsed during dinner. As Zainab and Tunde screamed for help, Mama Bisola calmly walked over, checking his pulse with practiced ease. "He's fine," she announced. "Just exhaustion. Let him rest." "We need to call an ambulance," Zainab shouted. "Don't be dramatic, child." I said, "He's fine. Are you a doctor? I know what's best for my husband." That night, Zainab stayed by her father's bedside, refusing to leave despite Mama Bisola's insistence that she go to sleep. She gave him water throughout the night, checking his breathing constantly. By morning, he had stabilized somewhat, but Zainab knew time was running out. Zainab made a desperate decision. She needed adult help, someone who would believe her and had the power to act. She remembered her Aunt Yetunde, her mother's sister who lived in Lagos. They hadn't spoken since her father remarried. Mama Bisola had forbidden any contact with their mother's family, claiming it would confuse the children. Using the school phone during lunch break, Zainab called her aunt. The phone rang several times before a familiar voice answered. "Hello? Aunt Yetunde?" "It's me, Zainab." There was a gasp on the other end. "Zainab, my dear child, I've been trying to reach you for months. Your father's phone is always off, and that woman never lets me speak to you when I call the house. How are you? How is Tunde?" "Aunt, please, listen carefully. We're in danger. Mama Bisola is poisoning us. Tunde is very sick, and now Papa too. I have proof, but no one here will believe me. Please, you have to come." "What? Poisoning? Zainab, are you sure?" "I have videos, Aunt. I have everything recorded. Please, come quickly before it's too late." "I'm leaving Lagos right now. I'll be there in 3 hours. Don't eat or drink anything from that woman. Keep yourself and Tunde safe." Aunt Yetunde arrived that evening with 2 police officers she had convinced to accompany her. When Mama Bisola opened the door, her face immediately twisted into a fake smile. "Yetunde! What a surprise. We weren't expecting you." "I came to see my brother and my niece and nephew," Aunt Yetunde said firmly, pushing past her into the house. "They're resting. Perhaps you should come back tomorrow." "I'll see them now," Aunt Yetunde insisted. She found Baba Femi barely conscious in bed, his skin pale and clammy. Tunde was curled up in a corner, holding his stomach in pain. Her heart broke at the sight. "What have you done to them?" She confronted Mama Bisola. "How dare you accuse me? I've been taking care of this family." That's when Zainab stepped forward with her phone. "I have proof," she said quietly. She played the videos for her aunt and the police officers. The room fell silent except for Mama Bisola's voice on the recording, clearly discussing her poisoning plan with her mother. The police officers immediately called for backup and an ambulance. As more officers arrived, they searched the house and found multiple bottles of poison, forged documents attempting to transfer Baba Femi's properties to Mama Bisola's name, and a diary detailing her plan. Confronted with overwhelming evidence, Mama Bisola's facade finally cracked. "You ruined everything!" she screamed at Zainab. "Everything was going perfectly." "Why?" Baba Femi asked weakly from his stretcher as the paramedics prepared to take him to the hospital. "I loved you. I gave you everything." Mama Bisola laughed bitterly. "Love? You think I wanted love? I wanted what you had, the money, the properties, the business. My mother and I have done this before. 3 families in Lagos, 2 in Abuja. We perfect our act, marry wealthy widowers, slowly eliminate the family, and inherit everything. You were supposed to be our biggest score yet." "You're a monster," Aunt Yetunde said in disgust. "I'm a survivor," Mama Bisola shot back. "Do you know what it's like to grow up with nothing? To watch others live in comfort while you struggle? My mother and I decided long ago that we would take what we deserved." The police officer stepped forward. "You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court." As they led her away in handcuffs, Mama Bisola turned to look at Zainab one last time. "You think you've won, little girl. But there are others like us out there, Many others. The investigation that followed revealed the full extent of Mama Bisola and her mother's crimes. They had indeed targeted multiple families across Nigeria, leaving a trail of deaths and destroyed lives. The police found evidence linking them to at least 7 suspicious deaths over the past decade. In the hospital, doctors worked tirelessly to remove the poison from Baba Femi and Tunde's systems. The head doctor, Dr. Okonkwo, told the family that they were fortunate. Another few weeks of poisoning would have caused irreversible damage or death. The poison was specifically chosen to mimic natural illness, he explained. It's a sophisticated operation. Your daughter's bravery saved your lives. Tunde, from his hospital bed, reached out to hold his sister's hand. You saved me, Zainab. You're my hero. Baba Femi, tears streaming down his face, pulled his daughter close. Your mother would be so proud of you. You kept your promise to protect this family. The trial of Mama Bisola and her mother, revealed to be named Iya Agba, became one of the most talked-about cases in Ibadan's history. As more evidence came to light, other families came forward with their suspicions about deceased relatives who had died under mysterious circumstances after marrying women who matched their descriptions. During the trial, a forensic accountant discovered that the women had accumulated over 50 million naira from Boer schemes. They had used different names, forged documents, and moved frequently to avoid detection. The prosecutor presented Zainab's videos as key evidence. The 12-year-old girl had to testify, describing how she had noticed the changes in her brother and father, how she had gathered evidence despite her fear, and how she had risked everything to save her family. Why didn't you go to an adult sooner? The defense lawyer asked, trying to discredit her testimony. Because Mama Bisola had made everyone trust her, Zainab replied clearly. She gave money to the church, helped neighbors, and acted like the perfect stepmother in public. I knew I needed undeniable proof before anyone would believe me over her. The judge was particularly moved by the testimony of other surviving victims who came forward. One elderly man from Lagos testified about losing his 2 sons to a woman who matched Iya Agba's description 15 years earlier. He had suspected foul play, but could never prove it. After a 3-month trial, both women were found guilty of multiple counts of murder, attempted murder, fraud, and conspiracy. Mama Bisola was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Iya Agba, as the mastermind who had trained her daughter in these crimes since childhood, received the death penalty. The recovery process for the family was long and difficult. Baba Femi spent 2 months in the hospital, undergoing treatment to repair the damage to his liver and kidneys. Tunde needed 6 months of medical care and therapy to fully recover from the prolonged poisoning. But the emotional healing took even longer. Baba Femi struggled with guilt over bringing Mama Bisola into their lives and not noticing what was happening to his children. He underwent counseling to deal with the trauma and betrayal. I failed you both, he told his children one evening, 6 months after the arrest. I was so desperate to give you a mother figure that I didn't see the danger I was putting you in. You didn't fail us, Papa, Zainab said firmly. She fooled everyone. Even the pastor called her a virtuous woman. You couldn't have known. Auntie Atunde moved in with them to help with the recovery. She took a leave of absence from her job in Lagos to care for the family. Under her care, the house slowly began to feel like a home again. A year after the incident, life had returned to a new kind of normal for the family. Zainab had been recognized by the state government for her bravery, receiving a scholarship for her entire education through university. Several newspapers had written about her story, calling her the young detective and the brave daughter of Ibadan. But Zainab remained humble about her actions. When journalists asked her how she found the courage to stand up against an adult, she would simply say, "I promised my mother I would protect my family. I was just keeping my promise." Tunde, now fully recovered, had returned to school and was excelling in his studies. The experience had made him more cautious, but also more appreciative of life. He often told his friends about his brave sister who saved his life. "My sister is the smartest person in the world," he would say proudly. "She's going to be a great detective or lawyer someday." Baba Femi had sold their old house. Too many bad memories lingered there. They moved to a new home in another part of Ibadan, starting fresh. He had also started a support group for families affected by domestic poisoning and fraud, working with the police to educate people about the warning signs. During one of these meetings, he shared their story with other victims. The signs were there, he admitted. The sudden illness, the insistence on preparing certain meals, the isolation from extended family, the quick marriage. I just didn't want to see them. My daughter saw what I couldn't, or wouldn't, see. The case had also led to significant changes in how such crimes were investigated in Nigeria. The police established a special unit dedicated to investigating suspicious deaths in families, particularly those involving step-parents or new spouses. They called it the Domestic Crime Prevention Unit. Detective Inspector Adofale, who had worked on the case, often used Zainab's evidence gathering as a training example for new officers. A 12-year-old girl did better investigative work than many trained professionals, he would say. She documented everything, gathered physical evidence, and built a timeline. We could all learn from her methodical approach. The pharmacy board also implemented stricter controls on the sale of certain chemicals and substances that could be used as slow-acting poisons. Mama Bisola's case had revealed how easily such dangerous substances could be obtained and misused. Several churches and community organizations started programs to help families in transition, particularly those dealing with remarriage after the loss of a spouse. They emphasized the importance of taking time to truly know a potential partner and staying connected with extended family. 2 years after the incident, Zainab was invited to speak at a conference on family safety. Now 14 and more confident, she stood before an audience of parents, social workers, and law enforcement officers to share the warning signs she had noticed. The first sign, she began, was isolation. Mama Bisola slowly cut us off from our extended family. She always had reasons why we couldn't visit or have visitors. She intercepted phone calls and letters. Isolation makes victims vulnerable and removes potential sources of help. She continued, listing the signs. Control over food preparation. She insisted on cooking specific meals for specific people and became angry when questioned about it. Mysterious illnesses that doctors couldn't explain. Because the symptoms mimicked natural diseases, medical professionals often missed the real cause. Financial manipulation. She quickly gained access to bank accounts and started preparing legal documents. Emotional manipulation. She was extremely sweet in public, but cold in private, making it hard for victims to be believed if they spoke up. Rapid relationship progression. The marriage happened very quickly, not giving the family time to properly assess her character. Past history. We later learned she had no verifiable history. All her references and background stories were fabricated. The audience listened intently, many taking notes. Several people approached her afterward to share their own suspicions about situations in their families. 3 years after Mama Bisola's arrest, an unexpected visitor came to their new home. It was a young woman, perhaps 25 years old, who bore a striking resemblance to Mama Bisola. "My name is Aduni," she said when Baba Femi cautiously opened the door. "I'm Bisola's daughter." The family was shocked. Mama Bisola had never mentioned having a child. Baba Femi's first instinct was to close the door, but something in the young woman's eyes, a deep sadness, made him pause. "Please," Aduni continued, "I know you have every right to turn me away, but I need you to hear my story. I've been looking for my mother's victims for years, trying to make amends." Against his better judgment, Baba Femi let her in. With Aunt Yatunde present and Zainab listening from the stairs, Aduni told her story. "I was raised by my grandmother, the woman you know as Iya Agba. From the time I was 5, they trained me to be like them. They taught me to lie, to manipulate, to see people as targets rather than humans. But when I was 15, I was supposed to help them in a scheme. The target was a family with 3 young children. The youngest was only 2 years old, the same age I was when my mother first left me with my grandmother to start her career." Aduni paused, wiping tears from her eyes. "I couldn't do it. I ran away instead. I've been in hiding ever since, working under a false name, trying to build an honest life. When I heard about my mother's arrest and what she did to your family, especially to young children, I knew I had to come forward." "Why are you here?" Aunt Yatunde asked suspiciously. "2 reasons," Aduni replied. "First, to apologize. I know it means nothing compared to what you've suffered, but I needed you to know that not everyone in my bloodline is evil. Second, to offer my help. I know all their methods, all their contacts. There are more people like my mother and grandmother out there. I want to help stop them." Aduni's information proved invaluable to the police. She provided names, locations, and methods used by a network of criminals who specialized in marriage fraud and family poisoning. Her testimony led to the arrest of 12 more individuals across West Africa. For the family, Aduni's appearance was a complex emotional experience. Zainab, now older and wiser, was the first to speak to her directly. "You're not responsible for what your mother did," Zainab told her. "You chose a different path. That takes courage." Aduni broke down crying. "I think about all the families they destroyed, all the children who lost parents. I could have spoken up sooner, but I was afraid." "Fear is powerful," Baba Femi said quietly. "But you're here now. You're doing the right thing now." Over time, an unexpected friendship developed between Aduni and the family. She helped them understand the psychological tactics that had been used against them, which aided in their healing process. She also worked with Baba Femi's support group, helping other families recognize the signs of similar schemes. 5 years after the original incident, Mama Bisola's case came up for appeal. Her lawyers argued that she had been under the influence of her mother and deserved a reduced sentence. The family was called to testify again. This time Zainab was 17, confident and articulate. She had been accepted into law school, inspired by her experience to pursue justice for others. When she took the stand, the courtroom was packed with reporters and observers. "Your Honor," she began, "5 years ago I watched my 8-year-old brother writhe in pain from poison administered by someone who claimed to love him. I watched my father, a strong man who had already lost his wife, nearly lose his life to someone he trusted with his heart. The defendant sits here today asking for mercy. But where was her mercy when she watched my brother cry from stomach pains she caused? Where was her mercy when she prepared to forge documents to steal everything my parents had worked for?" She paused, looking directly at Mama Bisola. "But this isn't just about my family. It's about all the families who weren't as fortunate as us. The ones who didn't have a suspicious daughter with access to technology. The ones whose stories ended in graves rather than courtrooms. We are here to speak for them too." The judge asked Mama Bisola if she had anything to say. For the first time, she showed what appeared to be genuine emotion. I was wrong," she said, her voice barely audible. "Prison has given me time to think about what I've done. The families I've destroyed. The children." She looked at Zainab and Tunde. "The children I hurt. I don't ask for forgiveness because I don't deserve it. I only want to say that I'm sorry, truly sorry. The appeal was denied. Mama Bisola's life sentence was upheld." As she was led away, she stopped briefly and said to Zainab, "You would have made a formidable opponent if you were older. I underestimated you because you were a child. That was my biggest mistake." 10 years after the poisoning incident, the family gathered to celebrate Zainab's graduation from law school. She had graduated at the top of her class, with a specialization in criminal law and victim advocacy. Tunde, now 18, had just been accepted into medical school, inspired by the doctors who had saved his life to pursue a career in toxicology and emergency medicine. "I want to help other poisoning victims," he explained, "to recognize what others might miss." Baba Femi, now remarried to a wonderful woman he had met in his support group, another widower who had lost his spouse to natural causes, stood to make a toast. His new wife, Amara, had brought 2 children of her own into the family, and they had all bonded beautifully over the years. "To Zainab," he said, raising his glass, "who saved our family when she was just 12 years old, who showed us that courage doesn't have an age limit, and that love for family can overcome the greatest evil. And to survival," Aunt Yatunde added, "to families who stand together, and to the truth that always finds a way to surface." Aduni was there too, now a respected member of their extended family and a police consultant on fraud cases. She had found redemption in helping prevent crimes like the ones her mother had committed. As they sat around the dinner table, sharing stories and laughter, Zainab reflected on their journey. The old house in Bodija was a distant memory, replaced by this warm home full of love and trust, real trust, built on honesty and openness. Later that evening, as the celebration wound down, Zainab stood in the garden with Tunde, looking at the stars. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if you hadn't placed that camera?" Tunde asked. "Every day," Zainab replied. "But I try not to dwell on it. We survived. We're stronger. And now we can help others." "You know what the best part is?" Tunde said with a smile. "What?" "We learned that family isn't just about blood or marriage certificates. It's about the people who stand by you, who protect you, who fight for you. Aunt Yatunde, Aduni, Papa's new family. They're all our family now." Zainab nodded, pulling her brother into a hug. "Mom would be proud of us." "She would," Tunde agreed. "Especially of you, sister. Especially of you." The story of Zainab and her family serves as both a warning and an inspiration. It reminds us that evil can wear the mask of kindness, that danger can come from those we trust most, but also that courage can be found in the most unexpected places, even in the heart of a 12-year-old girl. Today, their story is taught in Nigerian schools as part of family safety education. The Zainab Protocol, a system for reporting suspected domestic poisoning, has saved countless lives. Support groups founded in the wake of this case have helped hundreds of families heal from similar traumas. But perhaps the most important lesson from this tale is simple. Listen to children. Their instincts, uncluttered by adult rationalization and social politeness, often detect danger that others miss. Zainab saw what adults couldn't or wouldn't see, and her persistence in seeking the truth saved her family. In a world where predators can disguise themselves as protectors, where poison can be disguised as medicine, and where love can be used as a weapon, we must remain vigilant. We must protect our families not just from external threats, but from those who would infiltrate our homes with false smiles and hidden agendas. Remember these crucial lessons. Trust, but verify. When someone new enters your family, especially through marriage, take time to know them properly. Don't let loneliness or the desire for help cloud your judgment. Stay connected. Isolation is a predator's best friend. Maintain strong relationships with extended family and friends. They are your safety net and your early warning system. Listen to discomfort. If something feels wrong, investigate. Don't dismiss your instincts or those of your children because someone appears respectable or charitable. Document everything. In our digital age, evidence is power. Zainab's careful documentation saved her family and brought justice to many others. Speak up. If you suspect someone is being harmed, don't remain silent. Your voice might be the only hope for a victim who cannot speak for themselves. The family's story didn't end with survival. It transformed into purpose. Each member became an advocate in their own way. Baba Femi through his support groups, Zainab through law, Tunde through medicine, and even Aduni through her redemption work with the police. Evil exists in this world, sometimes hiding behind the most beautiful masks. But as long as there are brave souls willing to stand up for truth, as long as there are families who refuse to be destroyed, as long as there are children like Zainab who choose courage over comfort, hope remains alive. This is not just a story about poisoning and betrayal. It's a story about the power of family, the strength found in truth, and the courage that can exist in the smallest among us. It's a reminder that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they're 12-year-old girls with borrowed money and button-sized cameras, fighting to save the people they love. May we all have such courage when darkness enters our homes. May we all have such wisdom to see through deception. And may we all have such love that refuses to give up, even when facing the greatest evil. The sun sets over Ibadan, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. In homes across the city, families gather for dinner, children play in courtyards, and life continues its eternal rhythm. But in one home, a family that was almost destroyed sits together, stronger than ever, proof that love, real love, conquers all.